Hi, welcome to the top 10 mistakes students make on their college application essays. So why watch this video? There are 1,000 videos out there for college application essays. I thought, so you don't feel like you're wasting your time, let me just give you my street creds so you know that this is legitimate and that it's worth the investment of your time, about a half an hour to get you through it all. All right, so I am brought in annually by top schools in New York and New Jersey to speak to parents and students about college application essays. I am also the only college application essay advisor asked to speak annually by the National Association for College Admission Counseling at the National College Fair, which is held at Nassau Coliseum, not to be confused with the Roman Coliseum. And this is me on NPR. So let's get started. I hope that's enough to at least interest you in watching for a little while. I do these live presentations. They're about an hour long. This is an abridged version, about 30 minutes for you. All right. So the more competitive the college, the more weight given to the essay than GPA. What's happened? So I thought the best way of starting off is to depress you all. If you're depressed, I'm depressed, we're all happy, then we can go see Les Mis. So I'm going to speak in terms of the Ivy League, but everything I'm showing you as far as these statistics really have filtered down through every tier of college. So for the class of 2020, look at how many people apply to these colleges: 39,000, 31,000, 29,000. But look at the rate of acceptance. 39,000 people apply to Harvard, they only take 2,000 students. Yale, 31, 19. Princeton, 29,000, 1,800. If you look down to University of Chicago, where their motto is "where fun goes to die," so their application rate jumped from 24,000 applicants to 30,000 applicants in just 2 years. These kind of numbers have filtered down through all tiers of colleges. To destroy the SAT myth, Harvard turns down about 500 kids a year with perfect SAT scores. 1,100 get turned down with 800 on their math. Are you depressed? Can we get started? Okay. Simply put, the purpose of the essays, it's the only tool a college has to figure out who you are as a person, what you're passionate about, how you will fit into their community, and what makes you unique and an individual. So the New York Times last year had this amazing article rethinking the entire college application process, which scared me because, quite frankly, I thought they were going to say no more essays, and then I'd be like 80 years old working in Walmart as a greeter. Thankfully, they said everything I've been saying. So Harvard University did this huge study where they spoke to hundreds of schools from the Ivy League on, and they realized that they're the ones making you crazy, drawing you into competitive frenzy, manic resume padding. Colleges recognize now the need for less emphasis, depends where you put the syllable, on standardized test scores, and my favorite, more than just a few AP courses. They're not impressed by 7 AP courses taken a year. Some of you are going, now you tell me. So, and again, here's another quote from that. AP everything doesn't measure true ability or intellectual hunger. So here's a perfect example. When I was a high school English teacher, some kid who, this happened all the time, a math and science type kid would say, "Can you recommend me for AP Lit?" And I'd always say, "Come on, you don't even like this." "Yeah, but it'll look good in my resume." Here's what colleges finally realized. If you're taking, just as an example, AP Lit, but you don't write for the school newspaper, you're not involved with the school literary magazine, you aren't a member of a book club, you're not volunteering in the local library, there's no thread of interest. There's nothing that sort of connects you to literature. So they know it becomes window dressing. It's just there because you think the colleges will be impressed. And quite honestly, they're not. Here's another great quote from a different article. Our admissions officers are looking for something that is authentic and imperfect, and that comes from UPenn. All right? The essays are being used to figure out, what's real and what's window dressing. What community service things are you doing that's genuine to you, and what are you doing because you think it'll look good? They're also, they're more impressed by your part-time job in an ice cream shop than if you're going off to Costa Rica to save the rainforests. So here we go. These are the top 10 mistakes. That's what we're going to deal with in this video. I have a different video for the Common App essay. Top 10 mistakes, see it all the time. We'll go through these relatively quickly. All right, so number one, academic accomplishments, especially on your Common App essay. Go back to think back to the 6th grade. You had a core group of friends. As time has moved on, you've drifted apart. Now you're going to be voted most likely to succeed, and those friends are going to be voted most likely to commit a felony. The point is, like-minded people are hanging out together. No matter what tier college you're applying to, whoever you are, the other people applying to that college are just like you. So if you are a high-achieving student, and this is your typical, this is your resume, this is your transcripts, you know what? It's the same transcript of the other 38,000 students. It's not unique. Writing about these accomplishments in your Common App essay are sort of meaningless because wherever you are in that tier, so is everybody else. Another huge mistake is trying too hard to appear to be intellectual. The thesaurus is not your best friends. Words like plethora and myriad, which have to be the two most overused SAT words, are not impressing the admission people. And thus, come on, who says that? Oh, mother, father, I have finished with my work. Thus, they'd have you committed. Now, if a supplemental essay says, what's your favorite book? Don't think, oh, I better not tell them I like Twilight. I'll make something up and say I like Shakespeare. Don't be silly. And of course, if you like 50 Shades of Grey, you have other issues. I can't help you. Even the phrasing. I began my prospective search into a vocation I'd structure my life upon. Nobody talks this way. Don't do it. All right. 3, trying too hard to be creative. These are not creative writing assignments, okay? I have that little thing there, but you can read past that. It took me a half an hour, by the way, to figure out how to do that. The sun relentlessly beat down upon the terra firma. Perspiration poured from every pore. I sauntered up to the batter's box. The pressure was on. It was the bottom of the 9th with 2 out and runners in scoring position. We were suffering a dearth of 2 runs. Really? It's pretentious, it's silly, and most importantly, it's not about you. You also it took me 20 minutes. I'm getting better. It took me 15 minutes to do the circle. Okay. You want to avoid the cliches, the overused expressions. I'm hardworking, ambitious, and driven. I love to be challenged. I want to make a difference in the world. These are expectations. You're going to college. We want you to make a difference in the world. We expect you to be hardworking. We expect you to be challenged. My thirst for knowledge is the kind of cliche that gives a little twitch in the eye of admissions people. My peers often look to me for leadership. Now, let's go back to the like-minded students. If you are the type of student who's the captain of multiple teams, the president of multiple clubs, more than likely most of the people applying to those colleges are also. If everybody's the leader, who's joining the club is a follower. Plus, as a freshman, you're not going to be the leader. You're going to be the foot soldier. So as a freshman, you're not going to be in charge. The college would rather that you understood teamwork, collaboration, cooperation. Look, it's still on your transcripts that you're a leader, and there are supplemental essays that you could speak about the qualities you've garnered from being a leader, but telling a college you're seen as a leader is absolutely meaningless. Number 5, writing about the thing you want to major in your Common App essay. Yes, Breaking Bad, my favorite show at all times. I cried at the end. Okay, so here's the point. Let's say you want to go into chemistry. And you know, more than likely you've taken AP Chemistry. Maybe you've had a really cool internship over the summer at a pharmaceutical lab or something. And now you write a 600-word essay about your love of chemistry. You become one-dimensional. There's nothing more to you than you like chemistry. Plus, there are supplemental essays. And supplemental essays are going to ask you, why us? Why this major? If you've just written 600 words on your love of chemistry, what are you going to write for the 200-word essay on why chemistry? Another big mistake is you're all thinking too hard. You don't need a dramatic story. You didn't have to have been abducted by aliens to have an essay. The best essays are right in front of you. Right in front of you. Do not overthink it. You don't have to have some dramatic story about being abducted or any crazy stuff. Very simple essays. Now, another big mistake, every college is going to ask you, why us? And they want something what's called demonstrated interest, that you know the school. Obviously, the best way is to visit the school, but for the sake of this short tutorial, we're going to just stick to the website for now. Every college website is like a brochure to buy a car. All the information's laid out. However, you got to be careful. I want to go to NYU because it's in New York City, the big vibrant. Well, so's the College of Hair Follicle Restoration. It's not specific to NYU. 80% of your faculty are Nobel Prize winners. You know what? The person reading your essay works for the college. They already know that. Yes, but you have Dr. Quackenbush. And last year, I watched a TED Talk by this guy named Dr. Quackenbush that gave me my passion for XYZ. Well, of course I want to go to your school. He's the guy. Your school has 300 clubs. Okay, big deal. We know that about ourselves. Yes, but you have the Rotary Phone Reenactment Society, and I love history. And if any of you are saying, what's a rotary phone? Please don't even start, because I grew up with one, and now you're making me feel really old. Rotary phones, 8-track players. Okay, forget it. Don't cut and paste. Don't plagiarize. Now, you have a limited number of words to tell a college why you want to go there. Kissing up is not to your benefit. Telling a college it's a prestigious university with distinguished professors and unparalleled resources and a spectacular campus, meaningless. Don't do it. Now these are sound bites from a first draft. I left out the name of the college on purpose, I think. Yes. The multitude of educational opportunities provided by blank makes the institution an extraordinary resource of knowledge. The research opportunities at blank are also impressive. As one of the world's leading research universities, the school's location in one of the country's premier cities, I am also impressed with the social opportunities at blank. I also admire blank's focus on community service. I center these sound bites with a note that said, congratulations, they want to hire you in their public relations department writing their website. Look how generic this is. This could be any college, any student, anywhere. You need to be specific to you and the specific resources the school has in terms of academics. What programs do they have that are just tailor-made for you? Internships that are perfect for your needs, clubs, organizations, even traditions. All right, they want to know that you know the school. All right, the 8th biggest mistake that people make. Look, you've been conditioned since the first grade that every essay needs an introduction. Introduction, 3 body paragraphs, conclusion. Put yourself in the head of an admissions person for a moment. It's Friday afternoon. It's 4:45. You look out the window. It's starting to snow. You've been reading the same essay all day, every day for a week. Why us? Why this college? You figure, I'm just going to read one more before my eyes start to bleed, and then I'm going home. You open up the file, and this is what you see. As a senior in high school, everyone around me, teachers, friends, parents, asks about the future on a daily basis. Emily, have you finished your college applications? Emily, what are you going to major in? Do you know what you want to do in college, after college? I haven't even finished high school yet, but no one seems too concerned about that while I'm balancing running the demands of advanced placement schoolwork, tutoring, and applying to college. All everyone seems concerned about are what my major is and what I want to do with myself in the future. When I get asked these questions, I realize that while I have been actively pondering my future, I haven't made formalized plans on the field of study I want to pursue. Now, look, if I'm the advisor to the school newspaper, I love this. I'd want her to write, for every edition, let the underclassmen know what she's going through. But you're the admissions person. This is your face. Just tell me why you want to go here. They're not reading this. They're not wading through this. Plus, remember, you have a limited number of words to get your point across. This is all wasted. They're going to see what this is and fly right through it. Now, it's not just because it's too long. With over 3,000 colleges scattered across the United States to choose from, it might seem like a daunting task to pick one in which suits my needs perfectly. However, I truly believe that NYU is the perfect place to foster my interest for several reasons. This is a template. You could tell right away that for every college he's applying to, he's just substituting the name of the college where he says, believe that. It might as well just be blank. All right, again, they're not going to read it. So this is a perfect opening. Now remember, it's not an introduction. It's just an opening. During my high school career, many of the most memorable lessons combined disciplines. As one of my teachers put it, one can't learn in a vacuum. The University of Blank encourages an interdisciplinary education which will provide me the potential of new discoveries and a greater understanding of how things are interrelated while giving me the chance to take charge of my education, tailoring it to fit my goals. This student knows my school. Knows my school's big into interdisciplinary approach, has already experienced that. Now from here, obviously he's going to go into more detail, academics, internships, clubs, organizations, but he clearly knows my school. Now, these are the topics that I usually say run for the hills. All right, so vacations. This person's sitting in a cubicle and you're writing about the epiphany you had on a Mediterranean cruise. Not a good idea. Saving the rainforest in Costa Rica, which colleges know for most students means my parents spent a lot of money, I got a great tan, and one day I picked up a Coke can. Now, sports injuries used to be okay to write about. Everybody now tears their ACL. The chess team is tearing their ACL. Death, disease, divorce, all these things have unfortunately become relatively cliche. However, if your perspective is unique, you can write about anything. So, when the Common App, one of the questions was a time you failed, big mistake most students made. I tore my ACL. I went to rehab. Now I'm the starting pitcher, which isn't failure. This kid says to me, okay, so in the 9th grade, I was the 4th chair violin, and I stopped him and I said, I know you're going to tell me you got a private tutor. You're now the 1st chair violin. He said, no, I'm still the 4th chair violin. I stink at the violin, but I love being part of the orchestra. And in his own words, he said, not everybody in life gets to be the 1st chair. It was a brilliant essay. What do you do when you fail? You redefine failure and success. It's not about failing or succeeding, it's about participating. It's about being part of something. The second one here is my favorite essay of all times. So, an admission person once told me that when he's reading an essay, he knows it's the right student when he starts to smile and think to himself, I got to run into this kid next year just to say, how's it going? You like it here? You having fun? Is it a good place for you? So it's about a personal connection. When colleges ask, why do you want to go into medicine? Why do you want to go into the sciences? Most people answer one of two ways. It's the building blocks of life and the mysteries of the universe. Or, my grandfather died. I saw the pain it caused my family. I don't want another family to go through this. I want to come up with a cure for this disease. This kid said, look, when I was going into the 11th grade, I got my schedule and I found out that this girl I always liked and never had the nerve to talk to was taking this one particular science class where the teacher was notorious that on day one he gave you your lab partner, and that was your lab partner until the end of school. He even had a sign over, or a picture over his desk of the Supreme Court, and he said, they won't even overturn my decision. So he went to the school, went to his guidance counselor, asked to get put in that class, sought out the teacher and said, look, here's the deal. Can you make her my lab partner? He thought it was hysterical. First day of school arrives. He makes her his lab partner. Within 2 weeks, he realizes, oh my God, I hate this girl. She's so annoying. But he fell in love with the subject. That speaks volumes about him. Maybe being a little bit of a stalker. But other than that, you want to meet this guy. It's imperfect, it's authentic, it's real. Okay, number 10, don't be negative. I know telling a teenager not to be negative is like saying don't breathe. You can't be negative at all in any way. My parents worked very long hours. As an only child, I found myself home alone quite often. I taught myself how to make noodle soup, adjust the air conditioning, and use the oven. Hello, Child Protective Services. So, the smarter a student is, the less common sense that student has. I'm going to show you these sound bites. These are all from high-achieving students. They're all in either the Ivy League or very competitive top-tier schools. And each one of these students is a sweet kid, is a nice kid, not a bad kid. But look at these first comments or these sound bites from first drafts. Students at my high school are insanely cutthroat, only caring about their own grades. I and my group of insatiably curious young geniuses don't tell a college you're a genius. Our new administration was completely incompetent. Our orchestra traveled to Italy. To my dismay, I was relegated to the second violin section. So while this person's sitting in a cubicle, you're complaining about being in Italy. Not a good move. This kid was applying to MIT. Anytime we did not get the desired results from an experiment, we modified the data for the sake of good grades. Oh yeah, there's more. I don't usually respect what my peers have to say. I want to study abroad to get away from my parents. I am very competitive in every aspect of my life. It is important to me to show that I am better than everyone else. My favorite aspect of the school is its location. As an avid skier and snowboarder, I am overjoyed that Cornell is less than half an hour away from a nearby ski resort. Really? Escape the complaints of my overbearing mother. And this kid, this a winner, a problem to solve. A ninth grade girl accused me of stalking her. Now, I'm not showing you these to point out that the future of America is in jeopardy. I'm showing you these because each one of these kids is incredibly intelligent and incredibly nice. But when you sit down, you teenagers, sit down for that first draft, there's this weird disconnect between what you're thinking, your brain, your hand, and stuff like this comes out even though this isn't exactly what you meant. You have to, when you reread what you wrote, have to be very conscious. Am I being positive? Don't insult anybody. Don't make yourself look bad. Everything has to be positive. Okay. Colleges are going to ask you your extracurricular activities, communities that you're part of, work experience. This visual says it all. It's never about the activity. It's about you in the activity. It's not about playing sports. It's about you on a team. What's it like winning together? What's it like losing together? What's it like supporting the weakest player on the team? If you're on a robotics team, what's it like at 3 a.m. the morning right before, in the middle of the night before a competition when the robot falls apart and you're in a basement with 12 other people with cold pizza and no sleep trying to figure out what to do? It's the relationship within the activity, not the activity itself. All right. Start early. What does that mean? Don't underestimate the difficulty and how many times, how many revisions you might need. So let 11th grade kind of finish. Take a few days to decompress, detox, decaffeinate yourself, whatever. And then start your Common App essay. Common App essay topics are known, way before June or May, whenever your school ends. You can start right away with your common application essay in early July, or if your school ends earlier than that, in mid-June, and get that going. Then in August 1st, when the supplementals come out, try to tackle a couple. There's no way that you're going to be able to do all the essays, but try to get a bunch done. Now, there's an old writer's joke. How many writers does it take to change a light bulb? Does it have to be a light bulb? In other words, you need to show your essay to somebody. Don't show it to a bunch of people. The more people you show it to, the more opinions you're going to get. It's going to drive you crazy. This year's English teacher, last year's English teacher, your guidance counselor, your parent. Don't show it to your cousin who goes to college. Don't show it to your best friend who's really smart. You need to give this to somebody that's going to be objective and understand, guidance counselor, English teacher from this year, last year, year before, whatever. Don't show it to 20 people. You're going to get 20 different opinions. Okay, now, you go to the deli, you get a sandwich. It usually comes with a pickle on the side. You didn't ask for the pickle. So this is the pickle portion because it's not really about the essays. But these are the questions I get asked all the time. There are so many variables out of your hands. I always say that applying to less than 10 colleges sort of scare me a little bit. 10 to 12 is a great number. More than that is overkill. There's no need to apply to 16 schools. Definitely apply to reach schools. Even if you don't have the right GPA, SAT, ACT, EIO, whatever you have, holistically, you might be what that college wants. Now, You're going to come up with a list of 8. Your parents are going to say, come up with 2 more. You're going to say, fine, but I'm only going to this school if you put a gun in my head. You have to be willing to go to every school on that list because you don't know where you're going to land. Now, how did you get your grades? And what I mean by this is, did you have tons of tutors and go to extra help and really have a support network helping you boost your GPA, boost those standardized tests? Because there are kids that do. And then they get to a college where everybody around them, nobody needed a tutor. And now they're struggling. Look, college should be 4 years of work, but not 4 years of struggle. Find a college at the level that you belong, where you'll have the freedom to spread your wings and fly, not drown under the pressure of work. And I apologize for the mixed metaphors. In the workforce place, when employers get resumes, they sometimes Google the person's name to see what's out there, or as I like to say, the Google or the interweb, just to drive teenagers crazy. Anyway, 38,000 applicants to a college. Nobody's sitting there checking Google to see what's on there. But I guarantee you, somewhere out there, there's an admissions person taking a break, having lunch at his desk. Your name is on the screen, and he thinks, let's take a quick look. So go to the Google. Go to Google. Google your name under images. Google it under the web. See what's there. Not what you put there. Maybe your best friend put on there, and try to get rid of it. For social media, don't make it easy for them. Look, my name is Randy Levin. If I were a teenager right now, I wouldn't use my name Randy Levin. I'd use my middle name, which is Ian, and maybe my first full name, which is Randall. So I'd call myself Ian Randall. I would distance myself from any possibility that I could be found under those circumstances. Also, your email addresses. Come on. It's a calling card. You don't need to be cutie pie girl if you want to be a women's studies major, or village idiot, or one incarnation or another of tennis player forever. You could, once you get into the school, you could change it to village idiot. But for now, keep it simple. First name, last initial, last name. Okay. So I have other YouTube videos, one just on the Common App essay. There's also another video, very brief video, that explains my video course. Please visit my website. There's a free hard copy of this presentation. It's full version. It's usually an hour-long presentation that I give, like I said, at schools and for the National College Fair. But for YouTube, I tried to make it as quick as possible. There's a free link to a recorded version of the presentation, and detailed information about my services, one-on-one essay advising, the video course. So I mean this sincerely. Whatever you do with this, I hope it was helpful. The best of luck. Go out there and get into college and change the world. Bye.